Hey guys, so this is going to be a video on door knocking. I've been getting a lot of questions about it lately, about how to ask, how to research houses and things like that, so I thought I'd finally make a video about it. So hopefully some of you guys out there will find this helpful. But yeah, door knocking can just be a really good way to pile on the silver that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. So some things that are really important when it comes to door knocking is the research, asking permission, and just being prepared for any odd scenarios, and I'll explain what that means once we get to that. So the research is really key when it comes to door knocking. There's a lot of different tools out there that you can use. I personally like to use Google Earth the most, just because you can easily scroll around from town to town, look at the history of it, look at the demographics of it, see how many people were there back in late 1800s, early 1900s, and of course it has street view too, so you can go right down and look at the houses that you want to hit. And there's other helpful tools out there like the real estate websites. A lot of those will have the dates of when houses were built if you want to know, like for a specific house when it was built if you're not sure. So those are some tools that I like to use. Okay, so here we are over in Old Town. I'm sure some of you in the Dallas area know what town this is. I don't really mind giving it away because I don't hunt it a whole lot anymore. I used to hunt it a decent amount. But one thing you want to initially look for is the oldest streets. And one way you can do that is you can see a few of the older ones spanning off the town square. They've got some older trees on them. You can see the thicker leaves from the aerial view. So you just kind of want to look for things like that when you're initially trying to find what areas of the town you'd want to go to. And as you can see right there, I kind of highlighted a little box in red of one of the old main streets coming out of the town just to kind of show you an example there. Okay, so as for the types of houses to hunt, or at least the age of them, to me, I think houses that are 1945 and older are the best, and you'll have the best chances of finding silver at those houses. I'm not saying that if you hunt a late 40s house or 1950s house, you're not going to find anything. Definitely, if you have the opportunity to hunt one, I would definitely hunt it, but I've noticed chances are definitely best at the 1945 and older. So, from what I've seen, most yards are probably going to have about 1 to 3 silvers in them, or just none at all. And that could just be because it's been hunted before, or there just wasn't much drop there in the first place. But then there can also be those yards that have 8 or more silvers. I've seen those before, and those are real fun to hunt. I've even seen people hit 20 plus silver yards. So the actual look of the yard is probably one of the most important parts of this whole thing. You really want to look for yards that don't look like they've been messed with a whole ton. Don't look like they have fill dirt or like, all this new topsoil, maybe, a lot of landscaping, flowers planted. Because, if the yard looks super nice, not only could there be a lot of fill dirt and stuff like that, and you may not find a whole lot, but the homeowner may not want you digging there in the first place. So you're probably just going to be more likely to get a no or, somebody getting mad at you. So I'll really look for the yards that look more original, maybe older trees. The grass looks like it's been there. It doesn't look like it's been changed up a lot, things like that. So here would be an example of a house that has a yard that I would say is over landscaped. You can see there's just a lot of flower plantings, so the owners may not want you digging around there in the first place. And you can tell the grass kind of looks like it's newer, like laid out. So there may even be fill dirt in there. So that would be a yard that I would be more likely to not hunt, just because not only could the chances be lower of finding stuff there if it's been messed with a whole lot, but the owners may not want you digging there in the first place. So here's a yard that I would consider a good yard. You can see there's way less landscaping in it, and the grass looks a lot more original, like it hasn't been messed with. So it's probably got some original soil under there. There's some nice big old trees there. And so that would be a house that I think the owners would be more likely to say yes at, and I think it could have a lot more fines in it just because it hasn't been messed with. So the next part to door knocking is the actual asking permission. And I think a lot of people that haven't done it before think this is the worst part, and it's really not that bad once you get the hang of it. I like to keep it simple when I ask the homeowner, so I'm going to show you here kind of what I say and what I do. Okay, so all you really have to do is just go up to the door and ring the doorbell or knock on it, and just take a few steps back because you're a stranger to them. That it's a lot better if you stand away from the door so they don't think you're gonna like charge in or anything like that. So yeah, just take a few steps back, and once they open the door, just introduce yourself and tell them what you do. What I usually say every time, I keep it pretty simple. I'll just say, "Hey, my name is Zach, and I'm from around the area, and I like to metal detect as a hobby, and I look for like old coins and relics, tokens, and things like that. And I've been metal detecting some of the houses on this street today, and I was just wondering if I could have permission to scan the front area of your property and see if I could find any old coins or relics or things like that." And if you just keep it pretty simple like that, I would say 8 out of 10 times I get a yes around here. But that's just here. People are pretty nice down here. I don't know if your region may be different, but you don't have to do a whole long conversation with them. You really can just get straight to the point and just introduce yourself and ask them. And a lot of times they'll say yeah. Also, make sure that they know you're digging in their yard, because that can cause a problem if they don't know and they didn't want you to. So always make sure they know that you're going to be digging. And make sure they know that you're only digging small plugs. You're not going to make a whole mess or anything like that. And the last part to successful door knocking is just to be prepared. And what I mean by that is just to be prepared for any weird or odd scenarios that might happen, because this is different than just going to a park where you don't have to interact with strangers at all and you can just go and detect. Here you're kind of putting yourself out there more, and you could get yourself in some situations like I've just had a lot of times. I've had times where I've said to one person that I was digging, and then one of the other spouses came out and they didn't know and they didn't want me to, so then I kind of got kicked off. Then some people are going to be rude. Most people that you'll probably encounter are nice, but there are some people that are just going to be straight up mean, and like right as they open the door, if when you start saying something, they'll just like cuss at you and close the door. I've seen that happen. Um, you don't want to look strange to anybody or out of place, because you're a stranger to them in their neighborhood. So just kind of be aware of how you're presenting yourself. I've had the cops called on me before when I've been metal detecting, and we were hunting a house that we had permission on, and then one of the homeowners down the street drove up, and they were like confused on what we were doing, and we told them, we're metal detecting, looking for old coins, and we have permission to be here, but I guess she didn't understand. And so then she called the cops on us, and the cops came, and once we explained everything to them, they understood. We didn't get in trouble, obviously, because we had permission to be there, but so just be prepared for strange things like that might happen. So that about wraps it up for this video. I hope some of you guys out there found it helpful. And for those of you interested that haven't done it before, I just want to say one last thing, and that's it might seem difficult at first asking permission and things like that, but it really pays off big time. Out here in North Texas where I'm at, there's not a whole lot of old parks that really produce that well. So door knocking has been a way for me to still be able to find a whole lot of stuff that I wouldn't have found otherwise. And just persistence pays off. If the yards aren't working out that well at first, just keep doing it and you'll start hitting those yards that really produce. So thanks guys for watching, and happy hunting.